Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my 2019 AFL Round 17 tips and predictions. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. With the first game we have is West Coast vs Collingwood. The grand final rematch, not at the MCG though, it is at Optus Stadium. This is going to be an absolutely massive game. It is the Friday match for the week and yeah, it's definitely going to be very crucial for both teams. I mean, if West Coast lose this, Collingwood will be on the exact same as they will be in terms of wins. While if Collingwood loses this, they could potentially be jumped on the leaderboard by Brisbane and GWS. So it could become a very costly loss for Collingwood. And I think it's definitely one they really need to win. And I know they're getting a couple injuries in the recent upcoming weeks with certain things happening. Obviously, the club can't really control. And yeah, I think it is a very important couple of weeks coming up, and I think a lot of Collingwood fans can agree with me on that, and there's some even saying they can potentially fall out of the eight, and which, look, if they lose to West Coast on round 17, lose to GWS at Giant Stadium, which is also very possible, that's 2 wins, and then they take on Richmond at the MCG on round 19. If they lose all 3 of them, they could potentially fall out of the 8, but yeah, it's really hard to look ahead right then, but I think right now, I think that West Coast are probably going to beat Collingwood. I mean, it's going to be very hard to beat them at Optus Stadium, but if Collingwood want to keep their season alive, they're definitely going to have to really try their hardest on winning this one, because this is going to be definitely a really tough game, and if they lose this, could potentially fall out of the top 4, so it's going to be a really important game for the Collingwood Football Club, but as I said, I do believe that West Coast should and most likely will get the win. Anyway, the next one we have is Sydney vs Carlton, and both teams have been doing pretty decent, I'd say, lately. Carlton are definitely the massive surprise, but I think I'm really, surprised about all the wins that Carlton have been getting recently and how they've been super competitive in their games, and I think that a lot of Carlton fans will definitely agree with me on that, and just AFL fans in general, that they've been very good, but this is a different story, obviously. It's at the SCG against the Swannies, who, I know their season's already gone, but they have been, I'd say they've been pretty decent in the last couple of weeks, and they're sort of getting back into it, and if they can get this win, they will potentially go up to 13th spot, which I know wins at this point probably won't mean as much to the club as, they'll most likely want a really good pick to go into the draft, but I do believe that they will most likely get the win against Carlton. Even though Carlton have been in some really good form lately, I still don't think they're going to be really that much of a match for Sydney, but even though Sydney don't particularly play too good at the SCG in recent times. But to be honest, I don't think Sydney have played exactly that much better anywhere else this year, so yeah, I think that might be breaking that a little bit, but as I said, I do believe Sydney should and will most likely get the win. Anyway, the next one we have is Hawthorn versus Fremantle, sorry. Basically, I did have Fremantle on the Hawthorn, Fremantle's in front of Hawthorn on that specific picture. I'm just going to get a good enough one for the other one, so sorry about that, guys, but this is Hawthorn versus Fremantle, not Fremantle versus Hawthorn, and it is at University of Tasmania Stadium, so Hawthorn's home ground usually play pretty good at Tasmania. I don't know if they've really been that good there this year, but Fremantle, even though they've been pretty good all year, they are definitely sliding to drop in the recent coming weeks, and it is starting to get, very ugly for Fremantle, and the season is starting to look like it is possibly gone. They are about 1 win out of the 8 right now, and that's even if, Essendon and Adelaide, Richmond, Port Adelaide potentially get another win here and there as well, or just Port Adelaide, and Essendon, they will be 2 wins out of the 8 if they do drop this game. And personally, I do think they most likely will. I mean, Hawthorn are going to be very hard to beat at Tasmania, and even though they haven't been exactly the best this year, I think they might be starting to come back. That win against Collingwood, we got to talk about that. That was a really good win. I mean, that game was very boring until the last quarter where, Hawthorn came out of nowhere, kicked a couple of really good goals and just, got themselves in front, and Collingwood were acting like the game was over, and there was 4 minutes left and they were only 9 points down or something, and I think Hawthorn kicked 3 goals in that last, chain of play, multiple chains of plays in that last quarter before Collingwood were 9 points down. So the game was definitely really open, and Hawthorn just got a massive win, but this is against Fremantle, and it is at Tasmania Stadium, and if they can potentially get this win, they will actually jump up to, I think, 11th position, and I think they were 15th like last week, so they're definitely doing really good and really trying to revive their season. Anyway, the next one we have is Essendon versus North Melbourne, and this was a really tricky one for me to decide. Essendon, they're in the, top 8 conversations, but so are North now. North have come out of nowhere, and if they can get the next couple of wins, who really knows? They could potentially make the 8, even though they're 1 win out of it right now, and percentage, obviously. Essendon are also percentage out of the 8 right now. It's going to be a massive game for both teams, and the reason why I struggled so much with it is I think Essendon might be the better team but it is at Marvel Stadium, and even though it's supposed to be Essendon's home game, in reality, it's probably North Melbourne's home game, and I think that North Melbourne have a massive chance of getting the win, and I really need to decide who's going to win, but I definitely think I need to wait until the teams come out, so that's pretty much going to be what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait till the teams come out for this game, but right now, I think North Melbourne could potentially be the team that actually wins this game, but yeah, I think it's going to be a close one, and both teams are going to, especially both out of all the other matches, this is going to be one of the best, I reckon, because both teams are desperately wanting to make the 8, and, both of them just sit out of it due to percentage, or, they're 1 game out, so it's going to be absolutely massive. Both teams can still make the 8, and I think both teams will definitely be trying their hardest to win this game. Anyway, the next one we have is Gold Coast versus Adelaide, and both teams got absolutely smashed in their recent game, and that was just really bad for both teams. I mean, Gold Coast got smashed by a Richmond side that has gotten, I think it was 7 of their best 22 in the last week. They got those players in, and then they had another week to their belt, and those players are really starting to get healthy and starting to develop some good football back into their bodies, and they just absolutely smashed Gold Coast. They killed Gold Coast everywhere. The only thing I was disappointed about Richmond in that game was the back line still looked a bit out of it, and looked like there was still some confusion here and there, but other than that, they absolutely smashed Gold Coast. While Adelaide, I actually tipped Adelaide to beat Port Adelaide, and they got absolutely smashed by like 50 points or something like that, 40 points. It was a massive win, and all of, Port Adelaide fans are definitely happy, and I've actually got a couple of Port Adelaide fans that watch my videos, a lot more than Adelaide fans, I think. But yeah, that's definitely up for you guys in the comments. So definitely comment what team you go for, especially if you go for Adelaide or Port Adelaide. I definitely want to know what teams most of my viewers go for. So yeah, definitely comment that. But this is at Metricon Stadium. I think the Gold Coast are definitely going to be a lot better than they were against Richmond. I mean, I don't think you can get any worse. It was a 93 point or so loss against the Tigers, and they're going to be wanting to put their best foot forward against Adelaide, but I think Adelaide definitely want to cement themselves as a top 8 spot, because if they lose this game, they will most likely fall out, and, Essendon or North Melbourne, I think, can actually jump over Adelaide. So, yeah, it's definitely a really important game for Adelaide to win, but yeah, I do think I will be tipping Adelaide for this game. I mean, Gold Coast are definitely going to be a lot better than they were last week, most likely, and so will Adelaide. But I think Gold Coast's main priority is just to have a good game where they can, stick into it against, a relatively good side and show their fans what they can potentially do. So that's just what I think. But yeah, I definitely will be tipping Adelaide, and I believe they should win. Anyway, the next one we have is Geelong versus St Kilda, and both teams have been pretty mild in the past couple weeks or so. I think Geelong actually lost last week, against Western Bulldogs by 16 points. I actually tipped Western Bulldogs to beat Geelong, so I'm very happy there that Western Bulldogs got the win for that one, and it definitely helped my tips out. But this is obviously a different Geelong team at the moment. They're going to be, a lot frustrated about what happened last week, and they're not going to want to lose against St Kilda, and this is at GMHBA. And although I do think that St Kilda have been relatively good this year, they're now actually in 15th spot, and I think they were 11th like last week or the week before that or something. So massive downfall for the Saints and their season, for their fans. That is just really disappointing for them, and I think this will be another loss against Geelong. So yeah, this is Geelong, they definitely need to show that they can win away from GMHBA. I mean, they haven't been the best at MCG or Marvel Stadium. So even though this is at GMHBA, I think this should be an easy win or so for them. But looking ahead, they have the Hawks at the MCG, which is going to be an absolutely massive game because, as I said, in recent couple of weeks, they haven't been really good at Marvel or the MCG, so they need to get back out there and definitely win. But I think this should be an easy game for Geelong against the St Kilda Football Club. Alright, moving on to the Sunday games now, and the first one that we have is Richmond versus GWS, and they actually played each other, in round 3 at the start of the year, I believe, and I did tip Richmond that game, and then a couple of things happened. I think Trent Cotchin and another player, I think it was Jaden Short, got injured in like the first quarter or something. Richmond were playing with 2 players on the bench pretty much the whole game, and then yeah, it was a disaster. I don't know what players it was though, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 players that got injured. I think one of them was Jaden Short, and I'm pretty sure the other one was Trent Cotchin, but I'm not too sure. And obviously they had Jack Reebok get injured the week before and Alex Rance the week before that. So that was pretty much, their first couple of injuries that they had, and I think that it definitely hurt them against GWS, but it's a lot different now. Richmond have a way better 22 right now than they did in that game, and they've got a couple of their players getting back to their best footy, and it looks like Jack Reebok will be returning to play against GWS, and he hasn't played since, I think it was round 6 against Melbourne, and he's played like 3 games, the first 2, and I think that game, and yeah, he did his PCL, or hurt his PCL or something like that, and now that he's back, it's going to be a really interesting game to see what he can do and how the Tigers can go now that they've got a lot of players back. But I don't expect Jack Reebok to go out there and even, do that much considering he's come back from this massive injury. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game, but I'm really confident. I think that Richmond, it's at the MCG. Their season seems to be getting back into it. A lot of people are, starting to see what Richmond can do now with all their players back. And the fact that they beat Gold Coast by 93 points or something, and those 7 players they brought in, it was only like their second game back after missing weeks upon weeks of injuries. Yeah, Richmond are starting to look very good in my opinion, and I think that I'm hoping, as a Richmond fan, they can potentially make the top 4 now, and I think this game is definitely going to be the challenge for them. And yeah, I do think it's going to be very close for, quite a bit of the game, but I do think that Richmond will and most likely get the win. And as a Tigers fan, I think our season might be getting back on track now, and obviously I think this game is the key to do it, and if we win this, we are one step closer to getting to that top 4 spot. So I'm really hoping that Richmond do win this game, and that's why, as I said, it played at the MCG. We got all our players back. I do think that Richmond can get the win against GWS, and that's why I will be tipping Richmond. Anyway, the next one we have is Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne, and after both teams looked like, they were both teams, a lot of Western Bulldogs fans were hoping they'd get back into it this year. Melbourne was supposed to be a top 4 chance, and obviously Melbourne are now just beating Carlton, so both seasons have pretty much gone to waste, though. I do like what Bulldogs have done this year. I mean, they're not far off the A either. I mean, as I said, both seasons have probably been a waste, as a lot of Bulldogs fans are expecting to make the 8, but I don't really know if that's the case. I do think that if Western Bulldogs can win this game, and I think they potentially should, they will be closer, one step closer, and might be in 10th or 11th spot, and they are getting better and better every week, I think, and are doing some good things here and there. And this is at Marvel Stadium, and, Melbourne haven't been good at all this week. And if Western Bulldogs can have their best, one of their best 22s out there, I know that Caleb Daniel and that's all injured, but still, I think they can be quite competitive. And I do believe that Western Bulldogs should and most likely will get the win on this one. Anyway, the next one we have is Port Adelaide versus Brisbane, and what a couple weeks for these two teams. Both have been really awesome. I mean, that win that Brisbane had against GWS at Giant Stadium, that is quite incredible. A really good win. Not just that, it was a 20-point win. Good percentage boost as well, and they are also right now sitting in fourth position. That is really, really good, and I think that I always thought that Brisbane could be a good team this year, and I knew they were going to make the 8, but I didn't think they were going to finish top 4, but yeah, I still don't think they're going to finish top 4, but what a season it's been. I mean, wow. And then Port Adelaide have been pretty good as well, and I mean, this is at Adelaide Stadium, and it's a very wide open chance for both teams to win this. Brisbane have proved they can play away from home. Port Adelaide, I think, have been inconsistent all year, but have been solid in the recent weeks, especially against Adelaide. Wow, that was a very good game that they played. I didn't actually get to watch it, but I saw some of the things that they did, and I saw that scoreboard, and wow, that is definitely not what I expected from Adelaide against Port Adelaide, against Adelaide. So what a good win that was. And Brisbane as well, I didn't get to watch that game, but I saw some things as well. And yeah, another really good game for the Brisbane Lions. But because this is at Adelaide Oval, I do think that Port Adelaide should get the win. But don't be surprised with how Brisbane is playing this year. They definitely want to cement themselves in that top 4 spot, and I do think they potentially can. But yeah, I do think that Port Adelaide will get this win. But as I said, don't be surprised. I think Brisbane are a massive chance in this game. And I think a lot of Port Adelaide fans definitely know that as well. But yeah, anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest sport and AFL content. I definitely would really like to know your tips and predictions down below. And also, don't forget to comment what are your thoughts and opinions on my tips and predictions. Do you agree with them? I definitely would really like to know down below. So as I said, make sure you guys comment that down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel. Link in the description down below. I got a couple of vlogs coming out on my IRL/vlogging channel in the upcoming weeks, so don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for that. Also on my gaming channel, I'm starting to upload daily again, so don't forget to subscribe to that if you haven't already. It definitely would be really awesome if you guys went and checked out my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel. Link in the description down below. Maybe give a couple of videos a like, a watch, and give them a comment on what you think about them. I definitely would really appreciate that. And even comment in the comment section down below. Have you guys subscribed to my gaming channel and IRL/vlogging channel? I definitely would really like to know if you guys have done that. And for those of you who have, you guys are absolutely awesome. So yeah, chuck your comments down below if you have. I definitely would really like to know how many of my subscribers on this channel support me on my other channel. So yeah, definitely comment that. And also, if you want to go subscribe to them, as I said, link in the description down below. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.